Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video, and today I will explain to you why Ainz Ooal Gowns could triumph not only over a far superior foe, namely Strategie Bloodfallen, but also one whom also countered his two greatest strengths: ghost magic and being able to summon massive amounts of undead. In other words, I will explain his strategy employed against Strategie. But before we are going to do so, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's dive into the topic at hand. So an average role-playing build was able to defeat a, in many aspects, far superior build, one that was a perfect counter to Ainz Ooal Gowns' greatest strength. This of course raises the question how this was even possible, and we begin with the preparations and the planning phase of his strategy, along with the reason why Ainz Ooal Gowns insisted on facing Strategie Bloodfallen alone, rather than entrusting the job to Albedo, who tearfully offered to fight against the Valkyrie in his place, or why, for example, Rubedo and all of the Floor Guardians were dispatched simultaneously to capture Strategie. Well, the reason behind this is guilt. Ainz Ooal Gowns felt responsible for what happened to Strategie because he had not considered that with other players being in the new world, there might also be world-class items in this new reality. This led to a lack of countermeasures at that time, especially against mind control, such as escorts who could defend Strategie or take the hit, or a powerful world-class item of their own, which would counter the effects of other world-class items. Therefore, and because Ainz could not bear to see the children of his friends fighting among themselves, he decided to fight Strategie alone, and also act as bait for any potential attacking forces. These players would then be captured by Aura's world-class item, the depiction of nature and society. Ainz had also frequently battled alongside Strategie, while still in Yggdrasil Online, as a first line of defense, so to speak, on the ground floor of Nezarec, which has given him a deep understanding of how her character build worked and what strengths, skills and special attacks she had. However, he pretended to be unaware of how powerful Strategie truly was, and he also flattered her ego, letting her think she had the upper hand, and a few surprises ready for Ainz, while also taking every opportunity to stall for time. I will explain shortly why. After that, it was time for preparations. Ainz could not use his entire arsenal because Strategie is immune to insta-death magic, because, well, she's an undead, and she also would likely surpass all of his summoned undead, thus enabling her to recover more health using her lance than his reinforcements could take away from her. With Einherjar, she could also summon another close combat fighter of the exactly same combat strength as herself in terms of melee damage. This made it extremely difficult for Ainz, a caster, to win the battle. Therefore his plan was to significantly reduce Stratiege's health to the point where a single super tier spell, namely Fallen Down, could destroy her instantly. However, since Ainz knew she had a resurrection item with her, he couldn't use his trump card in this way outright. He needed another Strategie that would ensure that Strategie would be drained even after she resurrected. Otherwise, if he would cast Fallen Down too early in the battle, Strategie would still have full health. Instead, he had to ensure that all of her skills, her mana, and her resurrection item were destroyed before he could weaken her a second time for Fallen Down to finish her, once Ainz could use the super tier spell again. The good thing about this strategy is that it was very difficult to anticipate. Ainz had used Fallen Down as his opening move to weaken the Valkyrie, since Strategie knew that the Overlord couldn't use the magic for quite some time now. She focused on the more critical threats at hand, such as Ainz' magic and his very high mana pool, which she aimed to reduce bit by bit. This would make him vulnerable in close combat, since Strategie could regain health with her lance in melee, whereas Ainz was a strong caster but as strong in close combat as a level 35 warrior, simply because he was a mage. So basically Strategie could fight on her melee skills alone while Ainz couldn't. So Strategie's aim was to reduce his mana and to draw out the battle. But that's precisely what Ainz Ooal Gowns wanted. He wanted Strategie to actively waste all of her skills and abilities so she would engage in close combat later, leaving her unable to evade Fallen Down a second time. Furthermore, Ainz had another trump card, the goal of all life is death at hand. With this, he could defeat Strategie the first time, depleting her resurrection item and finishing off Einherjar. This prevented her from fighting 2 against 1. However, now Strategie had full health again, while Ainz had no mana left, which initially seemed like a victory for Strategie. But then Ainz revealed the best equipment of his friends and guild members, and with the help of Perfect Warrior, Ainz could hold his own in close combat, since now all of his mage skills were reallocated to fit that of a warrior. And he also borrowed the world champion armor from Touch Me, thus reducing the damage Strategie could deal significantly, meaning she could not recover more health in combat than she would lose. Thus her health would go slowly down, bit by bit. And here's the genius part. Strategie is likely still faster than Ainz, and Ainz could not pursue her in the air without leaving the Perfect Warrior mode to cast Fly, which means Strategie must engage in close combat instead of using aerial attacks or other tactics on her own. And Ainz achieved this by neglecting his own health. Strategie realized that with her lance and her build, she could hold her own against Ainz Ooal Gowns even in his world champion armor and Perfect Warrior mode. While she lost more and more health, Ainz' health was dropping even faster. This is what Ainz had planned for. Long before Strategie reached her goal of killing Ainz, he could switch back to casting mode, and with the help of a cash shop item, use Fallen Down instantly to defeat Strategie. And yes, he hesitated because in his life or death battle from his perspective, Strategie was still like the daughter of his good friend Pero Ronchino, but in a practice match or in really any other context, Ainz wouldn't have hesitated and would have pulled through without hesitation. But this was not the case, so he needed a bit of backup from Aura Bellafiora. And I've also read that it's unfair that Ainz could use a cash shop item while Strategie couldn't. And it's not clear if the item that resurrected Strategie was a cash shop item or simply an ultra rare one-time use item, but nevertheless, it's likely far more useful and valuable, especially to a part warrior build, than a simple item that reduces the casting time of super tier magic to 0. And at this point I also need to point out how important it was that Strategie sought a long battle of attrition as part of her own plan. Ainz was able to reduce the casting duration of Fallen Down to 0, but not the cooldown. This is why he was also interested in a long attritional battle. Strategie, who perceived only Ainz' spell and his enormous mana reservoir as a threat, also wanted a prolonged fight. This would exhaust both Strategie and Ainz, depleting most of their mana and skills, or rather, all of their mana and skills in the case of Strategie, and then it would eventually lead to Ainz, a magician, having to face an armored Valkyrie in close combat, who could heal herself with her own attacks. This would have given her the victory, if it weren't for Ainz Ooal Gowns' perfect warrior mode and the dozens of ultra-rare items that Ainz had borrowed. As I mentioned, the key here was that Ainz had meticulously planned the battle in advance. Shelly was lured into making the fight into a war of attrition, even though Ainz, despite being unable to use his two major strengths, namely his formidable death spells and his extensive undead summoning, and despite him being unable to match her in many aspects, was still able to outmaneuver a far superior foe, thanks to his years of experience and vast knowledge. And thus he managed to secure the victory. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and as usual, let me know down in the comment section what you think about this video, and with that I say my special thanks to Order Daddy Arder, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Phil Ralshivan, Guy with That Hat, Hector Marino, Hoss, Herster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouvi Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.